This is AHA Business Radio, creating aha moments for business, by business, and about business, providing opportunities to discover information to help you run your business and guide your decision making. The more you know, the better decisions you make. Now, here's your host for AHA Business Radio, Alan Hirsch.
So let's start on the one end with employees and how you help employees get to that job market.
Well, I think everyone is aware today you don't look at the Sun paper to find a job. Everything's on job boards, and the internet plays a very big part. So if you have a human resource professional that needs to attract help for that company, they're going to utilize placing an ad. So that temporary staffing employee who we're helping may be sending their resume in, but along with maybe 200 other resumes. We're able to put that person's resume directly under the eyes of the HR professional, and they say, look, they'll fit our needs, please send them in. So for them, they get to be standing alone all by themselves in the spotlight, and they get the opportunity.
If they're the right person for the job.
Right.
Because you, I would think, have an obligation to understand the business environment and the culture of the business and understand what the job needs to be done so you can get the right employee.
You're absolutely right. And we go through such a task to make sure that the person is the good fit. For instance, every employee is face-to-face interviewed. We give evaluations.
I have a question here because you put it as an employee. These people work primarily for you.
They do work for me.
They work for you. You pay them. Mm-hmm. You pay all their benefits. Mm-hmm. And the employer, quote unquote, you're the employer, but the company you provide the temporary help for actually is paying you a fee to bring in the employee, and the employee works for you. So you're doing all of the screening, all of the interviewing and so forth. So I want to make sure, because that's where you were going.
You're absolutely right.
I think that's where you were going.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Employers are not equipped to do what we're able to do. For instance, we can give them 1,500 evaluations in 5 languages, so we know they have the skill set. We face-to-face interview for looking for soft skills, life skills, and reference check and drug test. And by the time my client receives the resume of the individual, all the work is done. It's a matter of, is that individual a good fit for the culture of their business?
So in the broad spectrum, why should a business, and why is it better for a business to have a business use a placement service like you for both temporary and eventually full-time employment?
Cost effective, time effective. And we have the person that can start the next day. When you figure up the cost of recruiting or onboarding and a new employee. And onboarding is the term they're using today about bringing, the process. Onboarding is the process of being hired and bringing them into the company. There are a lot of hidden costs that one would not think about when they're figuring how much it's going to cost for them to hire a new employee. We're able to have an immediate reaction faster than an HR department can, because we are recruiting. My team recruits every day of the week. So within a few minutes, we can have a few resumes over for their review. The next day, we can have the person scheduled for a face-to-face interview, and they can go to work on Wednesday. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and at this point, it hasn't cost one thing except a phone call.
Looking at it from the business point of view, which is I do when I coach and work with business owners, if a business owner doesn't have an HR department, it's a small, mid-sized business, maybe 25, 50 employees, they might have a controller or a CFO that does the finance, is the person that requires the hiring. Think about the time, as we talked about earlier. You put it out on the internet on Craigslist and Monster and all the other things, and you get 250 resumes. Think about the time you're paying somebody. If you're paying that person $100,000 a year, including benefits, it's basically costing you $4,000 I think it's $40, that's $50 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So how many hours is that employee going to do that work?
Exactly.
And take time away from what their real job is. And then if you're paying a placement agent who's already doing all the research, it becomes two-way cost effective. You get more production out of the person, and if it's a business owner, it's even more costly because you're paying someone to do a job that they can't do, particularly yourself if you're a business owner, and you're doing it. You're not out. If you're required to bring in the sales, you can't do the sales.
Right.
The time you're reviewing it, you can't do the sales. You can't do customer service. You can't make product or whatever you're doing. But if you have someone on the outside do it, both people are being productive.